Good morning. I think for the first few minutes here, I'm going to be talking to myself, but that's okay. Maybe we'll have a few people drop in, and if not, that's okay too. We'll have a video out there for people for later. My name is Vanessa Bowser. I am a seller here on Mainly Made and on Knickknacks, and this is my first live on this platform, and I'm excited to do a demonstration for you today. I do lots of different kinds of art, including photography and music and those kinds of things, but I enjoy painting mandalas. And so that's what we're going to do today. I've loaded my store with some of my artwork, some acrylic on canvas mandalas. I have a mandala handbag that I painted on leather, which is an interesting, I'll be showing a few of those pieces later. But today we're just going to get started painting a mandala. So I have a canvas here that I have already painted black. This particular canvas is 9 by 12. So in order to paint a mandala, one of the most important things that you have to do is have the right supplies, and also you need to be able to find the center of whatever it is you're painting. And I've already done that, and you may not be able to see, but I have marked here in pencil my center. So that's where we're going to start. You have to have the right tools, as I mentioned. I have some acrylic dotting tools, and they come in various sizes. I hope to get some of these to put in my store, but I've not done that yet for you to purchase. And this is what the set that I am using looks like. And then you also have this type of stylus. I think is what these are called. These are nail tools, like for your fingernails. And these have the small balls on the end, and we'll be using those as well towards the end of our painting. We don't start with those. So I'm going to put these over here so that they're easier for me to reach. And then, of course, your paints. And I use just basic acrylic paints. I'm not going to show the brand, although if you have a craft store around, you know what brands come in these tubes. And what I like to do is just to put a little bit of paint in the lid. You may use a tray. You can use, your little artist palette, whatever you'd like. This works for me, although later down the road I will have to use one of my styluses and clean out the dried paint. But I will say, when you get all those little bits of dried paint out, I used to have a jar, I saved those, and those make nice inclusions in resin if you are doing resin projects, which I also do. Okay, so I decided that since we had the big color weekend, that I was going to do something with a lot of color. So we're doing rainbow today. And also this weekend we have the makers are featured on Knickknacks, and they are Meet the Maker sessions. And I'm going to be out of town and unable to do that. So I thought, Mandala Monday. We'll jump in, we'll paint a mandala, we'll get a little bit of the color feelies left over from the weekend, and we'll be looking forward to this coming weekend when we have makers featured on Knickknacks on Friday. But we're on Mainly Made today. Welcome. Send all your friends over, and I hope you enjoy this video. We're going to get started. So when we're painting mandala, find the center, which we've already done, and then you have to decide what your color scheme is, which I've already done. Decided we've got rainbow, got my paints ready. The canvas is prepped, has a coat of just black acrylic paint on it, and you can use any color you want, and I'll show you some of mine in a few minutes of other color bases, but we're going with black today because it makes the rainbow colors really pop. And you choose where you want your center. I'm doing your center dot, which I'm doing here. I have some that I have off center. We'll talk about that later, but we're being easy peasy today, and we're just doing it straightforward. Now, you're going to want to start with the large dot in the center. So I am using this acrylic rod. I also have just a muddler. I was in a restaurant bar in a hotel a few years ago down on the beach, and this guy was using this muddler. He was crushing up whatever it was for a cocktail. I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be a great mandala painting tool. And he just gave it to me. He said, I have lots of them, you can have it. So sometimes when I'm doing a really large mandala, I will use this muddler because it's perfect for that purpose. But for today, we're starting with this one. Okay, we're going to start with the red. We're going to do our Roy G. Biv, and we're going to work our way out. So always start in the center. We're starting our center dot, and we're starting with red. And this is actually not a true red. These are more pastel versions of rainbow colors, but that's okay because that's what I want to do, and I'm the artist today. I choose. All right, so I'm just going to tip in my paint, get a good little coat of paint on there, find my center, and the first dot is always fun. And so I just touched it down and lift it back up. I also have paper towels on hand because I'm going to immediately wipe that paint off because I'm done with this rod now. I will not use this again until I do another painting, or unless I decide I need some really big dots around the outer edges. So, done with that. Okay. Now, mandalas are mathematical, and you work through different sizes of dots, and you can choose which size you want to do next. And the sizes that you choose ultimately determine the pattern. So the more you work with this, the more you'll learn what dots to do next and what size to use. And I always like, when I do the center dot, to go around with smaller dots. It just kind of highlights that. So I am going to choose the smallest acrylic piece I have here, which is a very small rod, and we're going to do a set of dots around this dot. I'm going with my next color, which is a peachy orange. It is not the color I wanted to use, but the color I wanted to use today was dried up, so I have to get some more, but we're going with this one. Sorry about that. I think we're back. So we're doing our next set of dots. Now, when I'm doing the next set of dots, what I like to do is I like to do one at the top. And again, we're going close without touching. We're not actually touching the circle. We're kind of try to keep them about the same distance apart. So I like to do one at the top, one at the bottom, one on the side, one on this side. And then halfway between, halfway between, halfway between. So here's the other thing I want to say, guys. Art is supposed to be fun, you know. Don't stress yourself out about perfection. If you want to try something, give it a try. We all learn by doing. I've done pieces that seem like they're almost perfect, and I've done pieces that seem like, oh, there's no way that's perfect. And I would like to say also, because I'm sitting at this at an angle, my perspective is a little bit off. If I were doing this without filming, I would be hovering right over the top, so that I had a really good view of my spacing. So that makes it a little bit difficult. All right, so we have, and that's why we are careful. Okay, we have that first round done. And we're going to go in next with the very next size up of rod, which is, in my case, it's a kind of a purple color. So I keep them laid out in order of size because we're going to work our way up to larger dots. So this is the next one. My next color is the yellow. So I'm going to get my yellow, my light yellow ready. And then again, I'm just dipping. Now, we're going to go between the dots that we just did. So go around, just fill in a dot between each. And this is why it's important to try to get your spacing right, because you need those spaces. And if you don't, in the end, it's going to be a little off. And this one is looking a little bit off already to me. But again, I am sideways viewing it. So, and I'm just tapping into the paint and then just carefully putting my dot. And I go down easy, and then I don't actually touch the canvas with the end of the stylus. You just enough, and notice too that I'm going straight down. You don't want to go at an angle. So it's touch and straight down. This does take a good bit of steady hand. But one of my favorite things to do is just to put on some music and just start dotting. Very relaxing. Therapeutic activity. All right, next size stylus. Mine happens to be blue, and we are going red, orange, yellow, green. So our next dots are going to be green, and it is the next size up. So again, we're touching the paint. So I am a former elementary school teacher and school counselor. I left that position 2018, and I have been traveling with my husband and pursuing other interests, all artsy things, ever since. Someone asked the other day, do you miss it? I miss the kids and the relationships I built with kids. Junior high kids, by the way. But I don't miss the bureaucracy and the paperwork and all the things that got in the way of the counseling I really wanted to do. So, okay, we have the green. All those are done now. And again, I am just using a paper towel and wiping that paint off. Make sure you get it all wiped off, or else you'll have to scratch off with your fingernail later. Okay. All right. Marking our way up the sizes. We have the next one is actually a pink stylus, and our next color in our rainbow is going to be blue. Now, I know there are 7 colors in the rainbow. I'll just say this now. But, I mean, indigo. What is indigo, really? We are stopping with purple today. We're doing red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. But, like I said earlier, I'm the artist and I get to make that decision. So I mentioned earlier that I cannot participate in the Meet Your Maker this weekend. My husband and I are actually leaving town, flying out to Chicago, and be there for a few nights. We are going to go to a concert. I'm kind of excited about it. I want to see the Rolling Stones. So, and then from there, we're going to go out to Denver and see a couple more concerts at Red Rocks. So, we've got a busy week next week, but we will travel anywhere for music. All right, now I noticed that this dot up here seems to have a little funky spot, so I'm going to carefully dot over. It's a good idea if you can avoid dotting over a dot, avoid it, because it's hard to get it exactly rounded and perfect before. And you can, and I'll just give an example here. I don't really feel like it needs it, but you can take one of your stylus tools, the little pointy ones, and kind of mix that paint around a little bit. Sometimes these bubble, especially the bigger the dots get, and I usually just let them sit and dry on their own. But if they seem unusually thick or there's a little spot that's not quite covered, rather than try to dot on top of your dot, you can use your little stylus and swirl these around and just flatten that paint a little bit so it doesn't quite dome at the top. All right, we've got those. Now you can see the shape of our mandala is starting to really kind of come through. See those patterns in there. All right, so now we're going to the next size, which happens to be a green stylus for me. So it's the next size up. I know it's probably hard for you to see. And we're going with the color purple. And we're just tapping down into the paint. Sometimes if you let these sit for a bit, they get a little thick on the top, so you just kind of stir them up and it'll be fine. All right. And we're just going in, again, we're going between the dots from the previous circle. Don't overthink it. Just take your time. Hey guys, I'm just noticing some folks are coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you. I went ahead and started. I know there'll be a option to replay the video, so if you want to go back later and watch the beginning, I'll kind of talk you through. We're painting acrylic on canvas. These are dot mandalas. First thing that we did was I had previously done the coating on the canvas in the black, and then we had to find our center, which I did just by using my ruler and crossing the corners and making marks. And we started putting our dots in place. We're doing rainbow colors. We had the big color event over the weekend on knickknacks, and so I'm going with rainbow colors today, and we are looking forward to Monday being Makers special on knickknacks also. But we're on Mainly Made today, so welcome in. All right, so we have particular tools that we're using. I have these styluses. They're acrylic rods. I don't have any of these available in my store, but I would like to get some and maybe offer them, but I do not have those. These I purchased on another very large retailer online. That's all I'm going to say about that. And we also have these types of styluses. We'll be using these later. I'm using just traditional acrylic bottled paints. I'm not showing brands because the brand really doesn't matter, but you can get these in any craft store. I like to put my paint in the lid, which kind of can be messy later, but that's okay. We'll clean it up anyway. And so we are just going around. We started with the largest size, and then we started working up from the smallest size. So we started then with that one for these orange dots. This one went for the yellow, green, blue, and so on. And so I believe we just did the green one. Now I have a decision to make at this point. Do I want to keep going with these type of dots, or do I want to adjust the pattern in some way? So the next color is going to be red, which is going to repeat what was in the center. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with a row of the next size up, and then we'll start doing some different things. I do have some items in the store, so before we go on, I want to show, this is one of the items that is in the store. This is a dot mandala. You see I did not center this one. I started this one at the bottom. I wanted it to kind of have a peacock look to it. And so this is a gold background. It's got green and blue and purple. And when I feel really good about the painting and I think I'm going to try to sell it, I like to add Swarovski crystals. And so these are a few flat back crystals, just 4 of them that are glued on there just to give it a little bit of flash. So that's available in the Buy It Now in my store if you'd like to go in and look. All right, we're going to go on with the next dots. We are doing red. So we're going to take our acrylic rod here, our little stylus, whatever you want to call it, dip it carefully in the paint just to cut the bottom, and then we're going to go straight down between the dots of the previous row and just make a dot. And so we're going to do that all the way around. And I'm dipping each time we do a fresh dip. I am a little off-centered here because of the camera, so I'm having to kind of be careful about judging my space, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit of them a little bit off. Normally I would be hovering right over the top of the thing, be able to judge my space between my dots carefully, but I am off-centered a bit, and that's okay. So where's everybody from this morning? I am in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, northwest corner of Alabama, right on the edge of the Tennessee River. And it is actually 10 o'clock this time, my time. Welcome in, everybody. We are painting mandalas today. So we are just going to see how far we can get on this, and I will probably finish it at another time because this is not a fast process, 1 dot at a time. Okay, we are done with that row. Now we're going to make a decision here to do something a little bit different. We're still going to be using dots, of course, but we're going to use some different dots. And these are just, it's hard to plan what's going to happen with these. You just kind of have to let go and let it happen. So I feel like we've got enough dots here, and I want to do something different now as I start the colors over. So I'm going to go in with, let's see, I think that would go about, I'm going to go in now and use just a different shape. So we have previously started with the smallest. Well, after we did our dot in the center, we started with a graduated size. So the next smallest, then the next size up, the next size up, and so on. So now I'm going to start kind of working back out and working down to other sizes. So we're going to go with the orange because that's another color, the next color in the sequence. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue. And we're just going to go around, and I'm going to fit in between these larger dots. Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Southeast Arkansas. Very nice. Thanks for joining me today. I would sing for you, Arkansas. Okay, I will. I'll sing for you. Arkansas, Arkansas. I just love old Arkansas. I love my mom, I love my pa. I just love old Arkansas. That was free. I won't charge you extra for that. Oh, me. Too bad we don't have any over from Oklahoma. I would sing Oklahoma too. So this is a very relaxing thing to do. Have any of you ever tried dot mandalas or dot painting before? There's a lot of decision to be made. I guess that's with any art. But it's also just relaxing. Put in some music and just get started. All right, so now in order to clean my stylus, for those of you who have just come in, you don't have the patience. Yeah. Yes, I am very ADHD, and I would think this is not the kind of thing I really thought I would have patience for either, but it actually helps to kind of calm my brain. But the other thing about it is I don't like to do any one thing too long. I like to change things up. So this week I'll do some painting, and next week I'll focus on something else. I want to take just a second. These are not in my store. I plan to get some more of these made and get them listed later, but I also sell jewelry that I make. And this is just a pair of earrings that I did on the little black discs, and they have the little Swarovski crystal in the center. Again, I have not listed those in my store. I ran out of them, actually. I sold all that I had. I used to have a booth in a local craft place, so I'll be getting some more of those done painted, but just to share those. Okay, so we just finished that round. Now we're going to go in with another round, and kind of feel like we need to do sort of a bigger one to fill in these spaces. Now, later, once these larger dots dry, one of the things that I will do is to go in and possibly put some filler dots. And I'm looking for a sample here of what I'm talking about. And we knock everything over, but that's all right. So this is another one that I have in my store that I painted. And so this one I painted the back of the center of the circle all black, so that makes it stand out a little bit. But all these smaller dots and these little lines that go between all these dots, these I do later. Once I get the main dots down, then I go back and do all the little fillers, because you want the big dots to be nice and dry, and so that you're not going to smudge them when you're going in and doing those finer details. So we will go in with this particular painting that we're doing today, and some of the black spaces that you see between here, these will be filled in with some smaller dots with the smaller tools. So maybe we'll do another live together and finish this later. Thanks for coming in. If you're coming in, we're going now with yellow. We're just working our way around with the dots using our dotting tools that are available on other platforms. I do not have any of these in my store. I need to get some and sell them. If I have an interest in that, if you all let me know, I will work that out for you. But you can use knitting needles. I've not ever used knitting needles. I don't knit, but I have heard people using the graduated sizes of the knitting needles. You can even use toothpicks and different things, like cotton swabs. Now, I don't recommend that because you're not going to get your circles and your dots all nice and neat. But if you wanted to just try it without going out and buying a bunch of stuff, find some round things in your house, pencil points, the erasers on your pencils, anything that makes a circle imprint, you could give it a try. We always start at the center and work our way out. And we're just dipping into the paint and just going straight down, and we're dotting once. And we're trying to evenly space with the dots around it. And these are, as I said earlier, they're very mathematical. You know, the size of the dot that you start with and the way you work them out, whether you work your way up the sizes or you skip from this size to the next one, you can make all different kinds of spiral patterns and the like. And we're cleaning it off on a paper towel. So no jars of water, like with brushes where you're having to clean out your brush. We're just dotting and then cleaning off. All right, red, orange, yellow, green. Now, we're going to change it up a little bit. Got some space started here, so I'm going to go in with the green, and I think I'm going to do 2 dots between with this green, just to make it different. So there's enough space to fit 2 of these dots here, just like that. So we're going to, sometimes if you have a lot of paint on there, you can get 2 dots, but usually I dip and dot every individual one, but these seem to be working out okay to do 2. And so we're just going to equally space those. Now I'm going to go back and work up this way because I would like to not stick my hand in the paint. Normally I would be turning this canvas as I work on it, but doing this on camera makes it a little bit different. So you see my arm is stretching over, trying to not get my arm in the paint. If you do this and you make a little mistake, it is good to have some Q-tips on hand with some fresh water. And if you quickly use a little Q-tip, you can get that up. Now, these I'm not happy with, so I'm going against my advice on dotting over the top, but they just weren't quite right. So I'm fixing those. So are any of you guys makers here on Knickknacks as well? On Mainly Made, I'm sorry. Are you on Mainly Made makers? Oh, nice, Monica. What is it that you do? Okay. We have finished that. So you see, just adding in those smaller dots around just kind of sort of gives it a different look. All right, we are almost at 30 minutes here. I was wondering how much I would get through. Crazy Monkey, welcome in. All right, we are doing dot mandala today, rainbow colors. And we are on the fly, just making it up as we go because that's what we do with art. So I am going to choose now a different stylus. And I think I'm going to mix my colors. So I'm going to use, these don't have numbers, but this happens to be the pink one for me. And I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to, again, we're just dotting in the paint. And I'm going to put 1 dot next to the green dots all the way around. And so I'm ignoring those yellow dots for now. And we're just going to put 1 between for all the green. Oh, had a bit of a stringer there. So it's been really hot here in North Alabama the last few days. I mean, like really, really hot and very humid. My husband and I went on a boat ride last night and I was just like, ugh, it's too hot. It was a nice wind, but it was just a hot wind. Are you all having warm temperatures where you are? Unusually warm, but hey, it is almost July and that's what happens in the summer. Okay. Be doing a demo this Friday for Meet Your Maker. Hope you get to do one. So yes, I really wanted to do one. I was so upset when she started announcing. I was so excited. And then when the date was announced, I'm like, oh, dang it. we are going to be traveling. Selling earlier, I don't know how many of you are here, but we are flying out to go to Chicago. We're going to go to the Rolling Stones concert, and I'm really excited about that. Um, we love music, and we'll go lots of places for many reasons, but music is definitely something that makes us travel. So I will not be able to participate in the one this weekend, but I hope to do the next one. But I'll be watching because I'll be doing some traveling. And hot as Hades here in Southeast Arkansas. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. Yeah, humidity is a special kind of heat. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Rock the boat. I'm just going to go in here now with the purple, and we're going to put a dot around each one of these yellow ones. This is going to mix our colors a little bit. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned that I do a lot of times on these mandalas is I go back and I do top dots. So after you've done an initial row and everything has dried, you can go in and add additional dots um, on the top just to kind of blend in your colors. And so, I might put an orange dot right in the center of that red, and then I might put a yellow dot and just work my way through the colors again in the same order, but starting with a different color. So, all right. Well, I know there's some other things going on, and I was really planning to do about 30 minutes today, just kind of introduce myself and talk to you guys and get a little experience too. This was my first live on this platform, and I wanted to make sure that my Wi-Fi was working and that I could set up so that we can do some sales later. I do have some items listed in my bot now. I know that these canvases are pricey. I get that, but you can also see that they are not easy. It takes a lot of time and lots of rounds with them. This is not a finished painting, but this is a demonstration to help you go through steps, see what it's all about, see what tools that you need. I want to show one other item from my store, but I'm going to move this out of the way because it is wet and I don't want to get paint on that. So we're just going to prop it over here. This is a handbag that I painted. It's a leather handbag. Nice round leather handbag. It was new when I bought it. And I painted this with leather paints. The first leather handbag I ever painted was a Louis Vuitton. That sounds ridiculous, and I shocked myself. But a friend of mine from high school reached out. She said, I've got this Louis Vuitton bag. It's an older one. I've been seeing some people painting them, and I want a butterfly design. And she sent it to me. She said, can you do it? I said, maybe. I'm like, let me make sure I understand. You want me to paint your Louis Vuitton bag? She said, yes. So I started doing some research. I learned about paints, and there's a brand of paint that is specifically for leather. Angelus is the name of it. So I started researching about how to strip the finish off the bag and how to paint and that kind of stuff. So that's when you see leather handbags that are painted in my store, no, I didn't just use these craft paints and just paint on something. You strip the finish, then you do the painting on it, and then you go back in and you add the clear coat and the finish to it. And these are paints that are specifically for leather. So that is one of the handbags that I have in my store. And it is dot mandala, and you can see a very similar pattern to what we did today. And because this is a scale texture, there is a little bit of difference, but oh gosh, it's just pretty. And then I do others. This one is not dot mandala, but this is like a could be like a wristlet, or gosh, it's almost like a makeup bag sort of. But I painted butterflies on this. So again, this is the finish was stripped off, and then the painting was done, and then I added the finish back on with leather paints. This is not just I painted this with acrylics kind of thing. These are leather paints. The same paints that they use when you go to the Louis Vuitton store, you buy a bag and they paint your initials on them. It's the same type of paints that they use. So the Louis Vuitton bag that I painted, she loved it. She was happy with it. And I've been painting leather off and on ever since. So you'll see some of those items in my mainly made and a few on knickknacks as well. So that's what we did today. Thank you everybody for coming in and joining. This was my first live, and I appreciate having some help. having somebody to talk to. If you're watching this later, thank you for coming in and watching. If I can ever answer any questions, please feel free to reach out and send me a message. Also, if you don't mind to follow me, I will definitely follow you back. I think us artists need to stick together. When we find other people who are just as quirky and artsy as we are, it's nice to know we have a tribe. So thank you all for coming in. And I am not going to rate over. I don't know that there's anybody live and Mainly Made. I was the only one scheduled today. So we're just going to end this. But again, thank you so much for coming in. If I can help you, I will. Once I get back to town, which will be um, about the second week in July, I will try to maybe come back and we'll do some more of this one together. Who knows? I may finish this one right now and we'll start another one. And thank you for your interest and thank you for reaching out. Give me a follow. And I hope to see you again next time. And I hope to see you in your own life. Thanks.